This is the study guide for Algebra 1, Quarter 1, Test number 2. So Algebra B, Quarter 1, Test 2. Let's take a look at our first problem here. What we want to do is isolate our variable. And so the first step I'm going to end up doing is adding this 4 to both sides of this equation. So once I've done that, left with a 7x all equals 7. So from that point I can divide by 7 and get my answer of x equals 1. Look at our next one, we've got some decimals. Now if you don't want to deal with the decimals, you could always multiply by a number to move the decimal over so you don't see it anymore. In this case, just one space is all I need. So if I just multiply by 10, I'll have no more decimals. Now the numbers are bigger, but there's no decimal space. So from this point, I could do some opposite operations to isolate that variable. So if I add 57 to all sides, it leaves me with a 72 equals 12y. So from this point I can go ahead and divide by 12, and 12 does go into 72 evenly. It goes in there 6 times, so y equals 6. Okay, on our next one we can subtract 2 from all sides. Notice that the signs are the same, so that tells us that we're going to end up adding those two terms. So we have 1/7 n equals -5. So from that point, if I multiply by 7, the 7's will cross cancel. Do the same thing on this side, and we're left with n equals -35. Let's take a look at our next one. Here we've got some fractions. Now, if you want to leave the fractions in, you're more than welcome, or you could get rid of them. So if you multiply by a number that will cancel out both denominators, they'll be gone. But you got to multiply all numbers by that value. So notice that 5 is being multiplied by 10, so it's going to make a little larger number there. 2 goes into 10 5 times, so 1 times 5 makes 5. Bring down that minus sign. Here 5 goes into the 10, it goes in there 2 times. Multiply across, you got 4x. So now we've got no fractions, larger numbers, but maybe we'll make less errors this way. So we add 5 to all sides. So we're left with this 4x. 4x equals 55. So I could go ahead and divide by 4, and we can just leave our answer there. It's a reduced fraction. It's an improper one, but we'll leave it just like that. If you wrote 13 and 3/4, that's fine as well, or even 13 and 75/100. This next one, I'm going to multiply by 8 this time to cancel out all of those denominators. So notice that when I do that, the 4 goes into this 8 2 times, 2 goes into the 8 4 times, and 8 goes into the 8 1 time. So we go ahead and multiply across. 2 times 3 makes 6u, plus, and then 1 times 7 makes 7. Over here, 7 times 1 makes 7 as well. So when I go ahead, oops, this should be a 4. 4 times 1 makes 4, so let's go ahead and fix that real quick. That's our 4. So when we go ahead and solve, we can go ahead and subtract the 4 from all sides. So when we do that, we're now left with a 6u equals 3. So from this point, we could divide by 6, and we'll have ourselves our fraction. And if we reduce it, we're left with 1/2. So a lot of people want to say that's 2, but remember, when you have the bigger number on the bottom, that's a fraction. And all I did is just reduced it by taking out that common factor of 3. The next problem, let's go ahead and multiply by 15 to cancel out all of these fractions. So each one by 15 there, and then do the reducing, see what's left over. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 goes into the 15 5 times. 3 goes into this 15 another 5 times. So we're ready to multiply across. 3 times 1 makes 3n. 1 and 5 make 5 equals 8 and 5 make 40. So now we're ready to solve. So we're going to go ahead and add this 5 to all sides. That'll leave us with 45, so 3n equals 45. And then we can go ahead and divide by 3 on both sides. So we're left with n equals 15. Now let's take a look at our next problem. And so we've got 3 more problems, last 3. On this one, what we want to do is isolate the variable, but before we do that, let's get rid of this fraction bar. So let's multiply by 2 on both sides here. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So these 2's will cross cancel, leaving us just with this 5m plus 13 equals 2. So from this point I can subtract that 13 from all sides. And then I've got this 5m equals negative 11. So from this point, divide by 5, and you get a number that doesn't quite go into the other evenly. And you can leave this as negative 11/5 if you want, because there's no common factor. I'm fine with that. If you do the division, that's fine with me as well. Negative 2 1/10, negative 2.1, any of those answers will do. Next one here, it says Sarah paid $15.95 to become a member of a gym. She then paid a monthly fee. Total cost for 12 months was $735.95. Well, she paid this $15.95. She had to pay this up front, so this is like our constant. It's a one-time fee that we're going to end up paying. Then we have our variable amount here, which we don't know, and that's what they're asking for. They're saying, how much is the monthly fee? We don't know, but we do know we used it for 12 months. So what we're going to do is set up our equation this way. It's a two-step. We've got our constant plus our variable amount, and it depends on how many months we're going to use it for. It'll equal our total. So our constant was $15.95 plus our variable amount. We don't know the monthly fee, so let's call it a M for monthly fee. So 12 months times the monthly fee, and then equals our total of $735.95. So again, the 12 months came from that we used it only for 12 months. So we're ready to go ahead and solve. Just isolate the variables. I'm going to leave the decimals in there because, as you see, the decimals will cancel out when I do that subtraction. So this will leave me with 12m equals 720. So now we're ready to do some division. Divide by 12 on all sides. So we've got now m equals 60. So $60, that was the monthly fee. And that's all they're asking for in this problem. So we'll move on to the next, and it says, at a cafe, a bowl of granola is 2.5 times more expensive than a pot of tea. Alright, let's call G granola, T, we'll just use a T. Let's write in a little expression that represents that. So granola is means equals. So is 2.5 times more expensive than a pot of tea. Alright, so we've got that now. Carla bought some granola and tea and put $1.50 in the tip jar. So this is our constant. We're going to pay that, so that's not, doesn't have a variable attached to it. So let's go ahead and write out what she did. She bought granola and tea, so G and T, plus $1.50 went into the tip jar, and she spent a total, so we know that's our total, of $6.75. So instead of G, though, because they're going to ask for how much that pot of tea cost, what we're going to do is we're going to put that expression that we have right here, 2.5t, in place of that G. So now we've got 2 5/10 t plus that $1.50 is going to equal $6.75. So now we're ready to solve. So we'll go ahead and collect some like terms. These two right here. 1 plus 2 5/10 makes 3 5/10 t. We'll go ahead and subtract that 1 5/10 from both sides. Careful when you do this, line up those decimals. It makes $5.25. So now we're ready to do the division. So we'll divide by 3 5/10. And when we do the division, move that decimal over one space in the divisor until it's a whole number. Dividend just goes one space and then off to the side. Let's do it. 35 into 52.5. Decimal point comes straight up. Goes in there one time. Do the subtraction. This leaves us with 7. sure you borrow. So we have 17, bring down the 5. And 35 goes into 175 5 times. So let's try multiplying, make sure it works. Makes 25. 3 and 5 make 15, plus 2 makes 17. So there it is. T equals $1.50. So there it is, and that's what we wanted there, is just what was the price of the pot of tea. Alright, well those are the types of problems that you're going to see on this week's quiz. Good luck.